Leaf fans have been wondering what's going on with Joseph Woll. For more on that, let's bring in Mark Masters of the Toronto Maple Leaf practice facility. So, Mark, we saw Woll back on the ice. First time skating with the team in a full practice since the regular season started. Two questions. How did he look? And what did you think of what he had to say afterwards?
Yeah, Gino, he looked good. To my eye, looked pretty normal. Got through the whole practice, spoke to us afterwards, said he was feeling good. You're not clear on the exact timeline for when he's going to return. He said he's taking it day by day, stacking good day on good day, staying focused on that. And Craig Berube, though, he said he hadn't spoken to Woll yet after the practice, but he's got to think it's going to be sooner than later. The Leafs have a back-to-back coming up early next week, Monday against Tampa at home and then Tuesday in Columbus. So you wonder if Woll might be ready for one of those two games. In terms of Woll, you can just get a sense, already he wants to move beyond this injury. Of course, he didn't want to get too much into exactly when it flared up. Remember, it was on the eve of the regular season where he was sounding very excited to play against the Canadiens in Montreal and get his first ever season opening start. So clearly eager to move on from this, turn the page. He said, I've got a lot of experience, unfortunately, dealing with injury absences and coming back. And as a result, he has confidence he can hit the ground running when he does get back in the net, Gino.
What did you think of what Joseph Woll had to say about the two Giants?
Yeah, two Giants. He said the two Giants came in and did a great job. That would be 6'7" Dennis Hildeby, who won his NHL debut in New Jersey, and 6'6" Anthony Stolarz, who's been excellent so far with a .940 save percentage through 3 games. And it's funny, Stolarz told us this isn't the first time he's been the smaller goalie in a tandem. He played with Mikko Koskinen in Edmonton, who's 6'7". So I found that interesting. But yeah, the Giants have gotten the job done. And of course, we expect to see Stolarz, the New Jersey native, going up against the hated rival Rangers on a Saturday night game here in Toronto tomorrow.
When the Leafs brought in Craig Berube, we all thought the same thing. Ooh, things could get a little edgy. And we saw a little of that at practice. He was not happy with the way things were going, and he made it pretty clear he wasn't satisfied.
Yeah, he stopped the practice early on, kind of late into the group. And then at the stretch circle afterwards, he brought them together and, he said this wasn't really good enough today. They got to really dial it in. It's been a bit of an awkward week for the Leafs just with the schedule. They've only played the one game against the LA Kings on Wednesday. They had an optional practice on Thursday. Most of the guys stayed off the ice, and Berube reminded them, you guys have had more than enough rest this week. It's time to get geared up here for a very good Rangers team. And if the Leafs aren't locked in early in that game, it could get away from them. So that was kind of the message he said afterwards, fending off complacency. It started to set in when they were up 5-0, or they had the big lead against the Kings on Wednesday. They let their foot off the gas. He called that timeout in that game and kind of reminded them pretty sternly to get going, get the intensity going again. So an intriguing and interesting practice here as we see Berube kind of hammer things home to this group.
No one's felt the wrath of Berube more than Timothy Liljegren so far. Yeah, he signed that 2-year, $6 million deal in the offseason. Yeah, the aspirations were that this guy's going to work his way up the depth chart in the blue line for the Leafs, but it's clearly not working out that way, Mark. It looks like Liljegren is out again.
That was what we saw at practice today. He was with the extras, and it was Connor Timmins who was back on the third pair with Simo and Benoit. And after the practice, Berube spoke highly of Timmins and what he did in the first 3 games of this season, highlighted his penalty killing, which is interesting because we really haven't seen Timmins killing penalties in the NHL. He's been more of an offensive-minded guy for us, and he can move the puck, and Berube highlighted that. But he said again, he likes that Timmins has been defending well and has been an option on the penalty kill. And I spoke to Timmins afterwards, just off to the side, and he said, yeah, there was no message really to me, or he didn't want to get into it from Berube. He understands there's depth that they're going to use, but he likes his game and he just wants to keep going. It's pretty clear that regardless of Liljegren getting in for that game on Wednesday against the Kings, that Timmins is still very much ahead of him on the depth chart.
Mark, we've seen this tough love by Berube, I think, work already. Bobby McMann was all jacked for the season opener with the Leafs. Finds out he's a healthy scratch. He's played every game since then, and he's got 3 goals. Did it work for him? What are you seeing from McMann?
Yeah, listen, McMann, for whatever reason, Berube didn't love his camp. Said, he wasn't a little hesitant, wasn't playing that power forward game that they know he can play. But he gets back into New Jersey, in a fourth line role, scores a goal, and now he finds himself on a line that looks amazing with Max Domi and William Nylander. And I saw him skating around before practice today, kind of talking with Nylander. It looks like they were in good spirits and kind of revving up the chemistry. And Nylander said after the game on Wednesday, he really likes the chemistry on the line and how it's coming together. And you got a guy like Domi who can dish in the middle, and McMann with the speed and the size on the wing. Nylander, who set up McMann for a really nice goal, that second goal that he had in the game against the LA Kings. So McMann's coming on here, whatever it is, whether it was the scratch that kind of fired him up or just the way that he plays the game, working well with his new line mates. It's obviously coming along here well for Bobby McMann.
It's interesting to see the Leafs succeed, but Leaf fans probably want to see them succeed in different fashions. Here's what I'm saying with that. Leaf fans, we all know, we've all said this a million times. Nothing matters what happens in the regular season. All that matters is happening in the postseason. From what you've seen so far, and granted it's still a very small sample size, are you seeing a different style of play from this Toronto Maple Leaf team? A style that could be more successful come postseason?
Yes, I do see a different style, and I think that's part of it. It's a different system that they're playing, right? What Berube likes is that they've really bought into the checking side of things. Like, they are really dialed into that, and that's allowed them to be in a situation where they've only allowed 4 even strength goals in 4 games. That's really impressive. He didn't like that they were giving up the zone a little bit too easy against the Kings, allowing the Kings to get set up in their end a bit and roll around and get shots, most from the outside, but get a lot of shots and control possession that way. They want to, do a better job in the neutral zone, preventing that from happening. But in general, everyone is pretty dialed into the checking aspect of things, and that's a non-negotiable for Berube. We've seen that early on. They like the defensive game especially, and if they can keep that style going, that's the key. Morgan Riley was talking to us yesterday and saying, yes, it's been dialed in, but we got to show we can keep it dialed in all year and then into the playoffs, when you would expect that this kind of style would reap the most dividends.
A new style, rewarding for some, for others, it could be a problem from them. Mark Masters from the Toronto Maple Leafs practice facility. Mark, thank you.